Hello BookTube, and welcome back to another Hedgehog book recommendation video. These are named after Christopher Russell, our little corner of BookTube's cartoon hedgehog, who is traveling. He is currently traveling in Europe and parts beyond. I was keeping track of him on the database, but I guess he's once again scratched off his radio transmitting collar. I have no idea where he is now. I imagine I could check the news for civil unrest, but in the meantime, Hedgehog book recommendation videos are just videos where I bombard you with book recommendations. I don't need much cause to do that. I love doing it, and despite the fact that all of you sleep 15 hours out of every 24 and read at head injury speed, you still seem to like being bombarded with book recommendations. I don't get it, but I guess it's that out of the books that I'm talking about, a few of them will strike you more strongly than others. I would hope that's true. So let's go through some more, just for the fun of it. First one by David Skal. This is Something in the Blood. His, let's just say, unconventional biography of Bram Stoker. Has all the highlights of Bram Stoker's life as a theatrical manager and general dog's body for the greatest actor of his day. And also lots and lots of fun talk about his other books, not just Dracula. But it's the speculation about Stoker himself that sets this book apart. It will start arguments. I don't know. Maybe it won't. When this book first came out, I reviewed it, and I talked about it with a lot of fellow critics. And one of those fellow critics said, "Oh, come on now. You're the only person who's going to read this book who's ever read another Bram Stoker biography. So don't get too high on your horse." Maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. But this will work even if you haven't read any other Bram Stoker biographies. All you need is Dracula. The subtext in Dracula will do just fine for what Skal has in mind. Then we have a classic from my own line of the street, from the critical world. I have a whole wall of collected essays and prefaces and whatnot, and some of them have risen to the level of classic. Poetry in the Age by Randall Jarrett, for instance. And this is another one. This is On Native Grounds by Alfred Kazin. This is an old paperback, but this is him going through a whole bunch of contemporary American and not so contemporary American authors and writing about them with an amazing degree of depth and perception. He is amazing to read about when it comes to literature. He's written a bunch of other books along similar lines, but this was a bombshell. The critics at the time that it first appeared knew right away that it was a seminal work of popular literary response. I won't say literary criticism because this is really just book reviews, but popular literary response done by a first-rate brain. Really worth reading and also rereading. I don't know how many times I've reread parts of On Native Grounds. Then we have something by Rosemary Sutcliffe. I don't know if she has the big rabid fan base that she used to have. She was once upon a time the writer of books that we would now call young adult, YA, historical novels. YA historical novels that were really good. Rosemary Sutcliffe is terrific to read. And this is one of hers called Shifting Sands, that takes place in prehistoric Orkney, where the megalomaniacal warlord of the island is set to a contract marriage with a young woman. Only she is taken with a young man named Singing Dog. And as their relationship grows closer and closer, their necessarily clandestine relationship grows closer and closer, the chieftain on the island gets more and more erratic, more and more violent. And there's genuine tension involved here. Rosemary Sutcliffe mastered perfectly the knack of writing young adult fiction that can be read for excitement by adults. So if there is a new, online electronic version of Shifting Sand and you want to give Rosemary Sutcliffe a try, it'd be a wonderful place to start. Then we have something by William Langewischer. This is Inside the Sky. This is a collection of his long-form reporting about airline disasters and airline technology and airline heroism, airplane heroism, manned flight heroism. A couple of these were absolute standout pieces that he did for the old Vanity Fair that are amazing. He is so amazing writing about airlines, about flight, about what goes on and what the technology is like and what the human decisions are like. He's so amazing doing that, so gripping. that he really is a successor to Ernest K. Gunn when it comes to writing nonfiction about manned flight. This book is it has that sententious subtitle, Meditation on Flight, but really this is about flight, mostly about flights going wrong, and maybe not going wrong, maybe just barely saving themselves. Tremendous stuff, gripping. I wouldn't recommend it if you have a flight coming up. I wouldn't do that. But if you are sensible and never take a plane anywhere, well, then yeah, you'll definitely want to read it. Then we have something by Dave Holland. I don't know that this is out yet. Looking at it, I'm starting to wonder if maybe this is out yet. It could be coming out later this month. But anyway, this is called Guadalcanal's Longest Fight. And it is about Matanikau. It's about one part of the Battle of Guadalcanal in Matanikau, where the men were in World War II. No matter where you go, no matter what you look at, when you bore down to the company level, you're going to get stories of incredible heroism. And to be fair, you're going to get those stories no matter what side you're reading about. And Guadalcanal had lots and lots of incredible heroism. There was a huge one-volume history of Guadalcanal about 50 years ago that managed to work in a lot of those stories. But most of the time when you get an account of World War II, Guadalcanal will be viewed in the abstract. And because the focus is therefore removed, you won't get a lot of those little stories. And a lot of them are incredibly touching. And this is an incredibly touching book. Incredibly touching heroism that, I don't know if you can, I think it was probably a canny decision on the part of the publisher, this cover. I don't know if you can get a sense on that cover, but you definitely get the sense when you're reading the book of flash forwards. Because this is Americans dealing with jungle warfare. And, of course, the pinnacle of that, the symbol of that is the Vietnam War. So this takes you into Matanikau and shows you the heroism that was involved in these men taking beaches, taking upland jungle readouts in the middle of nowhere against enemies that they largely couldn't see. Of course, Chesty Puller is all over this book, but then he would be, wouldn't he? But this won't do as a recommendation for your first book on Guadalcanal. There was that enormous book. The author is escaping me. David would know. David Murphy would know the name. But it's a gigantic book. Black dust jacket, just has the word Guadalcanal as the title. There's that book, which is not in print anymore and will never be in print again because of the way that we treat history. But there was a general book on Guadalcanal, I think 5 years ago, something like that was much shorter and might still be in print. I would suggest something like that before you read this, but this is terrifically done. So if you have the slightest bit of grounding in the subject, this will repay a read because it's amazingly readable. Then we have a classic, something that Agatha Christie was working on her whole life. Usually when authors say that, they are lying. But she was busy writing Christie for Christmas. She was busy with her career. But in the odd hours, those of you who don't write, first of all, you should. I've been urging you for years to write. You should all write. All of you should write something every day. But those of you who don't write might find it a little odd that oftentimes once you've got writing thoroughly in your blood, the way that you relax from writing is to do a different kind of writing. You don't stop writing. And that's what Agatha Christie did writing her autobiography. And it's wonderful. Really, really wonderful. It reads like nothing else it is like nothing else that she wrote, but it also has just a narrative register that is completely different from her mysteries. Completely wonderful. This is my favorite thing by far that Agatha Christie ever wrote. I know that's predictable when it comes to me, but I wonder if you won't have the same reaction. So I strongly, strongly recommend it. It did really well. It was a hit. It's a big book. It's big and heavy, but it's well worth it. Then we have a slim book. This would probably qualify for Shorty September. This is Dune Messiah by Frank Herbert. This is his much misunderstood, much maligned sort of sequel to Dune. In his gigantic epic novel Dune, the main character, Paul Atreides, ends with total control of not only the planet Arrakis, but also the Empire. He has managed an amazing sideways Night Fork move that gives him total power. And Dune Messiah is Frank Herbert's dyspeptic, cynical meditation on the cost of that. On the message of Dune Messiah is that most of the worldly trappings that Paul Atreides won in Dune weren't worth it. And to put it mildly, fans of Dune have not been ready for that message at all. And so they have not liked Dune Messiah. I'm not trying to oversell it here. It is a weak book. But it is far more interesting and intelligent than most people give it credit. Most casual Dune fans will say the usual refrain that Dune is great, Dune Messiah is a fall-off, Children of Dune is back to business as usual, and then all the books after that are bad. That is wrong. That summary is wrong on a number of different levels, but one of the ways in which it's wrong is the way it sells short Dune Messiah. So I strongly recommend it. Again, like the Guadalcanal book, it won't make any sense to you at all if you haven't read Dune. But if you have read Dune and you're a little iffy because the community, so to speak, seems to be divided as to the worth of the other books, you should remind yourself that there is no community. There is only Steve. If you see a divided literary community on some subject, ask me, and I will tell you which side is right. Anyway, let me move on to the Mammoth book series. I've mentioned this in a few Hedgehog book recommendations. These were done by Carolyn Graff in the United States years ago. I don't think they're made anymore. They were big paperback anthology volumes on every subject under the sun. There were hundreds of them. And this one is edited by Alex McCormick and Rod Green, and it is the Mammoth book of shark attacks. Both these two have a good bit of experience on this subject. And, of course, the cover shows you looking down the mouth of a lunging great white shark. Well, great white sharks are one of the big three in terms of shark species that attack humans on a regular basis. Great white sharks are the biggest of the big three, the most powerful, the most infamous, thanks to Peter Benchley's novel Jaws and Steven Spielberg's movie of the same. But this book covers all kinds of shark attacks. It's important to understand that there are different kinds of shark attacks. If you are provoking a shark attack, then you have only yourself to blame. It's not like sharks are evil. Sharks don't take things personally, Mr. Brody. It's not like they're evil. There are a number of ways that you can get yourself bit by a shark, swimming in the ocean being the foremost one. But apparently the world is full of thousands and thousands or millions of people who are dumb enough or crazy enough to swim in the ocean. Swimming in the ocean is the foremost way to get attacked by a shark. But also, swimming in the ocean where you are interfering with the shark? Are you interfering with the shark? Are you hunting food in the shark's area where it is also hunting food? Is the shark maybe being territorial? Maybe it has just pupped and it's being territorial. Most sharks that are being territorial will give you ample warning that they want you gone. And most shark attacks of that type happen when the person, the human, ignores that warning. And then there are unprovoked attacks where a great white shark or a bull shark or a tiger shark will just attack out of nowhere. The outdated mode of thinking along those unprovoked attacks is that the shark mistook the human for something else until it bit the human. Shark advocates today are a little leery of that explanation. These things have evolved for millions of years. It's unlikely they're mistaking one thing for another before they bite it. But this covers everything, all kinds of shark attacks, from the famous ones like the USS Indianapolis to less famous ones, to ones that happened, in the middle of nowhere, little accounts from the shark attack files. Let's see here. Then we have an old favorite. This is Georgette Heyer. This is the Nonesuch. Here we have AI artwork on the cover. I don't know if that means she has new paperbacks. I can't imagine a publisher in 2025 bringing out paperbacks of this author. She's the quintessential Ur romance writer, her and Barbara Cartland picking up the mantle of Jane Austen and making romances into a commercial venue, into a commercial genre. So not that you're buying the latest novel by so-and-so and it has a heavy element of romance in it, but that you are writing a romance novel for romance readers. It was Betty Neals, it was Barbara Cartland, and it was Georgette Heyer, and they made this genre strictly in the imprint of Jane Austen, of Pride and Prejudice. And this is a story of a man named Waldo who unexpectedly comes into an inheritance and is very unconventional in the way he adapts to that new world. And it's also the story of a young woman who is more and more attracted to his unconventionality. And it's funny. It's worldly wise, and it's funny, and it's very well written, like everything this author did. Very, very much worth your time. This is a novel you will pick up and just happily read, whether you think you like romances or not. The only problem is that if you take most readers, not most readers, certainly not most readers who watch this channel, not that anyone's watching now, because we're past the 60-second mark, but a lot of readers are snobs. I'm sure you know some reading snobs. And book snobs will take one look at this cover and say, well, I don't care who's praising it. I don't care how good it seems. I'm not going to read it because I don't read this kind of book. But if you want to give it a try, the Nonesuch will work just fine. And then we can finish up with this thing, which I praised before on this channel, by Armin Sheeb. My praise of this thing is a little bit off the mark because this is a rare instance where you really need to see it to know what I'm talking about. Even reproducing artwork, which I did in my review, isn't good enough. You really need to see it. But I'll recommend it anyway because it's still in print and you should buy a copy. It is called The Ant Colony. And it's the story of an ant colony. The fully illustrated story of an ant colony, but illustrated in a way that you have never seen an art book illustrated before. I don't know any other way to put it. You have never seen a nature book illustrated like this before. It's eye-opening anyway because most people don't know the intricacies of an ant colony, and not to give the author ideas for a sequel, but the intricacies of an ant colony are dwarfed by the intricacies of a bee colony. Dwarfed. So a sequel to this about bees would be incredible, but the one about ants, most people don't know the details, and here you get them in an array of visuals, the like of which you have not seen before. So it's an oversized hardcover nature book, but I cannot recommend it strongly enough. Believe it, you might look at this and think, well, I'm not going to read a book about ants. Borrow it from the library then, so there's no commitment. It will sweep you away. If you go into it thinking, well, I don't want to read a book about ants are icky, give this 2 pages, and you'll change your mind. But anyway, there you go. That is a Hedgehog book recommendation video for just a random batch of book recommendations. Hope that some of them resonated with you. We'll do this again. We should not let the Hedgehog book recommendation flag fall to the ground. We should keep the Hedgehog book recommendations going until the Hedgehog returns, at least. Or returns to Hyde Cottage, whichever happens first. So I'll wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you.